Alright, I'm hoping to make a quick video kind of showing you how to set up, on Linux at least, how to set up and configure and take a look at my alpha version of goTorrent, which is a torrenting server written in Golang. So, first things first, I'll be releasing it as a tar.gz and you can download, and I've added it to my server right now. So we'll do a tar zxvf. Then goTorrent, boom, and that lists everything. Now we can remove goTorrent snapshot. Alright, so it comes with the license, a README, which currently is not filled out, but will be when I release. A config.toml, that's your main configuration file. Distribution specific files, that's where you look for certain setup files, stuff like that for certain distributions. goTorrent executable, which we have to make executable before it can be executed, and then we have a public and a templates. Those are for the web servers. We'll be editing it to configure the front end with the back end. So first thing you want to do is go into config.toml and change your settings. Right now we're going to kind of leave most of them the same. Server port, port 8000 is fine with me. Server address, it actually pulls your automatic one, so my one here is 192.168.1.100, and it'll automatically pull it in, so I usually just leave that blank, so that would only use to save multiple IP addresses. And log level, right now it's set to warn. I'm going to set it to info just to kind of help us take a look. Log output file, that would log it to logs/server.log. We're going to do, just to make it easy, std out, so that's standard out. Seed ratio stop, that stops it from, it stops the torrent after it seeds 1.5 times. So now this is our default move folder, so that's after a torrent is completed, it's moved to your folder, because that's in case you have something like FileBot or something that takes it from that folder and sorts into your Plex or something like that. So the default move folder, this is in single, since it's a literal string. It's needed for Golang path, but make sure you don't change that to double quotes. So, and this can be a relative or an absolute path. If it's a relative path, it will automatically be converted to an absolute path. So we're just going to leave that as is for now. Push bullet token, you can add that if you want to be notified when when your torrent is completed and moved. So and this is an encryption policy. That's for hosts or for peers if you want to force encryption for peers, or disable it entirely. Prefer no encryption. Kind of up to you. Download directory is for the torrent client config. That is where it stores in progress torrents. That by default is downloading. You can change that to relative or absolute path, whatever works for you. Then that's if you don't want to seed it at all. So I would leave that at true. You really should seed. So never upload is never send chunks to peers like at all. Like I think there's like info chunks you can send that disables all that. And now the rest of this is pretty in the weeds, and a lot of it's not even implemented yet. Peer ID I plan on implementing, but that's I guess a requested thing for some torrent sites. You need a peer ID. Other than that, I would leave all of this as is because it gets pretty complicated. So that's your config.toml. Just save that and exit out. And then we're going to chmod +x for goTorrent. That makes it executable. And now our backend is all configured and set up. We just need to connect our front end to our backend. So we're going to go into public static JS. In there we have a kick WebSocket. The bundle.js is our React front end all bundled in one JavaScript file. But the kick WebSocket kind of connects the front to the back end. So we're going to kick WebSocket and nano that. We're going to change this IP address to 1.100 since that is our IP address here, and we left the port the same, so it's 8000. So now that's all set up, and I'm waking up in 8.5 hours. You can tell because I'm freaking tired for some reason. All right. So now we have all that, and we can do a test right here by running goTorrent, since that is, and you can see we're outputting logs directly to the command line. So standard out, you can see there, and pretty much we're outputting by default to opt goTorrent downloaded. That's the default directory. So and then uploaded torrents, that's an internal thing. It just uploads, if you upload a torrent file, it puts it in that folder. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and this can take a little while to start up, especially if you have a lot of torrents in there already, because it does a check on all of them. So we're going to do 8,000, and bam, there we are. We're up and running. You can see there's no data here because we have no torrents added. But basically, if we hit F12, we can see kicking off WebSocket to server. So it kicked it off to the server. And basically, don't worry about these errors. I'm hoping to get rid of them in the future. But we can take a quick look and say grab a torrent. So sure, let's just go this one right here. It's a tiny little torrent. This is you could download the actual torrent file, but we're just going to use a magnet link right now. And you can see this means how many torrents you have added to it, and that's that'll change as we add more. And then we're going to click on add magnet link. And storage path, you can set that to, if we leave it empty, it'll go to the default, which was we set to downloaded. We can set an absolute path of any kind here, and it will be fine with doing that. So we'll just add that now, and we can see that it sent the magnet link out. And now we can see here, don't worry about that. So attempting to download, oh, okay, it flew by a little fast, but it's, oh, okay, all right, that downloaded instantly. There's a lot of peers, so it automatically, so adding the new torrent to the database, adding torrent with the following storage path, opt goTorrent downloaded. It downloaded the info, it added torrent to client. You can see the magnet link here. And then it did a move and create symlink, started for torrent, and we'll take a look at what happened there. And it said attempting to notify user, no push bullet API set, not notifying. So we didn't have push bullet API set, so it's not going to push bullet message to us. And it moved completed torrent. So that all happened very fast. So we're actually going to open up another thing here. And we're going to go to cd opt/goTorrent, and then we're going to see we have a folder called downloaded now and downloading. So if we go into downloading, we can see we actually have a symlink that goes to downloaded. So this is so that the torrent can keep seeding while it has actually been moved to another directory. So it just kind of helps you use this file quicker. So because if you have it sort into a directory that your Plex pulls from or something like that, then it'll be able to keep seeding that while it happens. So if we go back into downloaded, we can see that there is the actual file there, and it's available for us to use. So now that we tested it out while running it from here, to set it up as like a service in Linux, let's clear. All right. So we would go into distribution specific files, and we do an ls. There's Linux Systemd. Let's go into that. And now we have a goTorrent.service. So what we're going to do is we're going to move, well, let's just copy actually. goTorrent.service to etc systemd system. So we're going to go to etc systemd system, And then we're going to see that we have a goTorrent.service, and we're going to nano the goTorrent.service. And this is basically description of what it is, goTorrent server, after the network, because obviously you need network working for it to work. The service type simple, the user, yes, it's going to be whatever you want. I actually have added a goTorrent user, so working directory is going to be opt goTorrent. Again, you can set whatever you want. Egstart is just your path. I could have done a variable, I guess, which would have been working directory and then goTorrent, but whatever. Either way, you can change it if you want. But that's your executable right there. And on a board, it'll restart it. So, all right. And actually, we didn't change that. But so, all right. So after that, we can do a systemctl enable go torrent.service. All right, and then if we do systemctl status go torrent.service. Oh, I already had it installed. Shoot, I already had it installed here. But basically, it would just show you inactive. It wouldn't have any of these logs here. So, but I've already added it once. So you would just see that it was loaded and inactive. That's pretty much it. So the next is we would go to, and we have goTorrent here. It's owned. We would basically do a user add goTorrent. And then after we added the user, we would change the owner to goTorrent. If we go into goTorrent, we can see since I've been in root, this is all owned by root, so we would do a sudo change own, or we don't even need sudo because we are root. Change own -r goTorrent, and then star. And that changes everything to goTorrent. Because it's very important, having permission is a huge deal, especially if you're setting a storage folder to move something to after it's been completed downloading. If you don't have permission there, it's going to freak out. And I believe it'll force you back to the default one, which will be downloaded, which means you won't get it showing up where you expect it to show up. So permission is important. So if you're creating a new user like goTorrent, you got to make sure that if you have a NAS or something it's writing to, it has to have permission. Oh, and the storage DB file that's created, that stores all of your torrent information. So if you ever need to move servers, basically you just copy this entire directory, plop it into a new server. It'll still read from storage.db, and everything will start up like normal. So you won't have to worry about anything like that. So, and there are tools to manually enter the storage DB. Since this is JSON encoded, it's going to be a mess to read though, but it makes it much easier for me to store it there. But if you have to make some changes there with some sort of software problem, then that's where you would do it. Now that we've changed all the permissions for this, let's go in and do our config.toml, and we're going to change this. Well, we'll keep it at info. We'll change it to file, so it'll go to log server.log, and then that should all be the same there. All right, and then I can do systemctl start goTorrent, and then do a systemctl status goTorrent, and you can see it's active and running. Now we'll pull up our page here, and you notice that the console shows that WebSocket is already closed. I hope to look into getting something that'll say, hey, it'll time out after a second, say, hey, this is basically loosely based on uTorrent server for Linux, which has been discontinued for 4 years now or something like that. So trying to do a replacement for it, but they would have a thing popping up saying, hey, you've lost connection. But basically we just do a shift F5. F5 itself might even work, and it'll pop it back up, and you can see that we're back at a live server, and bam, it pulled in our torrents. Again, that can take a while. I have it in a Go routine, so it'll actually load the whole page, and it'll say no data, even if you have, let's say you have like 50 torrents. Well, it's going and it actually checks all of the torrents on startup to make sure that they're valid, the links are valid, and the contents are valid, so it can show you the percent done and all that. So basically we're good to go. That is an actual failed to reset devices.list. Not sure what that is, but basically it just says started goTorrent server, and you can see it's running, and if we go to net dash apn grep 8000, we can see it's connecting and established to 141, which is what I'm recording on right now. So basically that's pretty much it. That's my goTorrent server. There are going to be a lot more features coming soon. Right now the settings panel doesn't actually do anything. The speed doesn't do anything. Logger doesn't do anything. I'm thinking about removing the logger and actually doing pop-up messages, push messages from the server to the client with notifying you of status. Because sometimes you'll add a torrent and it can't download the info or something, and you're just kind of sitting here like, well, what happened? Then you have to go all the way back to your server and look at the logs and say, oh, it couldn't get any of the info. Well, this one, it would push you a notice saying, hey, we couldn't find any info, we had to drop the torrent. I was thinking that you just look at the logger for that, but it seems like a push notification might be better. Maybe I'll have something with logs up here that'll be logs for the entire thing instead of having it down here, because this is kind of torrent specific. If you select that torrent, it'll populate this general thing with all of the information of all that. So number of pieces actually doesn't work either. And then you can look at the peers, which there aren't any, so this won't pop up, but it'll show like the peer ID, which is currently a garbled mess, but it's changing in the future. IP address, port, source, and support description. Then you can look at the files. I do have this in the UI, but this actually doesn't do anything currently, the set file priority. That's actually, I'm using a library called basically a torrent library that was built in Go. And that is going to be implementing the file priorities and the backend. So once they have that implemented, I can just easily implement it here instead of really doing a lot of work to get that implemented. So the do not download would be pretty easy, but the normal and high would be a little hard because I have to set a read ahead. But anyway, that's getting out of it. So, and then I will hopefully the speed will be just a graph of the speed over time. So it's not a big priority for me. On this one, I should be able to easily add for torrents. I would have stopped torrents. You could look at all your stopped torrents as well in this list. And it says labels here, none, that you can't set a label. I don't have that implemented. I'm hoping to add it where there'll be labels down here where you could label your torrents. Just click on them there and sort filter by label. So, and the availability would probably be replaced with label, but the availability was supposed to show how much of the file was available inside of the whole swarm. I haven't been able to figure out how to calculate that yet. No big deal. We do have RSS feeds. You can add an RSS feed, and it'll automatically, on a cron schedule of hourly currently, it will download any new torrents that show up. It'll check them to see if it already has them downloaded. So, but that was a big feature I really needed, was RSS feeds. And then you have a start, stop, and delete torrent, and you can delete it with the data or just delete the torrent file if it, or it'll delete the torrent file and anything in the database that's stored. So then add mandate link, and then you can add a torrent file just like that, and then hit submit, and then it will, you can see it, I have the storage blob there, and then you can see it's going to add that and it's going to download. So that's pretty much it. Basically, I'm going to be releasing the alpha very shortly, and I'm hoping that a lot of people can go ahead and test it out and find a lot of the bugs that I'm sure are existing in here, and kind of help guide the process for pushing this forward, since I think there's a lot of torrent clients out there. The ones that have a good solid web interface is dwindling rapidly, especially for RSS feeds and some of the more advanced features like push pull notifications, stuff like that. A lot of them are difficult to set up or require you to set up in a client first, or it's not built for a web interface off the bat. So I'm hoping that this will be a nice change of pace. So that's pretty much it. I'll try and link the GitHub and everything below. So